We are talking to attorney at law Bert Samuels. Now, we last spoke to him in October when he was expressing his concern about the plight of 4 fishermen who had been taken into custody by U.S. officials. And he was expressing concern about intervention or lack thereof at that point from the U.S. government. Now, while we were on break, the 4 have been returned to Jamaica, and reports are that they will be seeking compensation for treatment they received while in custody. Mr. Samuels, thank you so much for talking to us again. We appreciate it.
Greetings, yes.
All right, and so bring us up to date now. I gave a little recap there, but if you can tell us in a little bit more detail what's been happening.
Yes, from day one when I engaged you in this matter, we were concerned that there was a classification that was found to be contraband. Contraband does not appear in the shipwright agreement. It is illicit drugs, and we were concerned that it could not go beyond contraband. Eventually, this was tested, and they said that it was 150 gallons of liquid cocaine. That means these men will be engaged in a multi-million illegal cocaine trade. And then we kept a little quiet because my instructions were always, it is not, that it is gasoline. And eventually, gasoline was proven when it went to land. It took 10 and a half weeks for the men to be released. And they went before court on the 15th of December when the judge ordered them to go to immigration and basically freed them with nothing found on them. And we were now concerned that they were now in immigration custody.
Sorry, back up a little bit for me. Let me just ask you a little bit about that. They had been taken, and the assessment was made that it was liquid cocaine, but it was actually gasoline?
Yes, because they said that that is the US Coast Guard said that they used a kit.
Right.
They have a kit aboard their ship that can test for gasoline, for cocaine rather. And they tested it, and it was cocaine.
And then it was taken to land and retested and found to be gasoline?
Land and found not to be. But before then, this DEA agent, by way of an affidavit, saw that he found the liquid cocaine. And then he contacted Jamaica Defense Force and got permission to blow up the ship at sea. And he did so.
Okay. Okay. First thing though, the legal proceedings seem to have been disposed of relatively quickly. Was there a reason for that?
Well, I don't have that as relatively quickly because the men were 10 and a half weeks to find that something is tested not to be cocaine. Cocaine can be tested for within hours. So in my book, 10 and a half weeks was too long.
Okay, I guess I have a Jamaican perspective on time. Yeah, so sure, I'll accept that.
Yeah.
So what now?
So they were asked. So we had to start to pressure our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Listen, the U.S. Coast Guard has taken away our client's passport, which is the property of the government of Jamaica. They have not to date returned the passport. We had to now be knocking on the door of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, issue emergency passports to these Jamaican citizens so they could come home in time for Christmas. That didn't happen, and we managed to pressure, and they were sent home the day before the New Year's.
All right. So first of all, we had a discussion in the last couple of years. We've been having a renewed discussion about the shipwright agreement, following the case of the fishermen who said they were held in shackles for weeks.
2019, and their boat were destroyed too.
Indeed. Does this case say to you that is once again, it is indeed time to revisit that agreement?
We must revisit it, and this is kind of embarrassing. 2020 has taught us this. Law enforcement with ethnic minorities has not had a good history in the U.S. So if you are African Jamaican, African American, and you encounter the U.S. law enforcement agencies, you're likely to have a certain fate. And that's exactly what happened to my clients. They were chained, their feet were chained on the deck of the boat. They had to stay out there in the open. Rain come and catch them, sun come and burn them, and that's where they went into custody in the U.S. Aboard a ship, treated like enslaved, how we came here from Africa. That's how they were treated. Given food that was fit for dogs. That's how we were treated. Why do you think that is happening? Is it divorced from law enforcement treatment of ethnic minorities in the U.S.? And when they're in the open sea where there's no one to record them, to video them as we're able to get George Floyd was the videos, can you imagine what those people are doing to us? I'm making that point to say, if you have treaty partners who have a racist issue in their law enforcement agents, we may need to revisit whether we need for them to police us. That's a serious position I'm taking.
You had said at the time that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, needed to get involved. I know we tried to get comment from them, and they declined comment at the time. Had you ever heard anything from them?
Okay, well, they passed the matter to the Attorney General, who took the position that because liquid cocaine was found, it is now a law enforcement issue for the United States, and we should no longer get involved in it. So they basically backed off. But since it has been found not to be cocaine, I'm asking them to re-enter and now have us sit down to discuss compensation for malicious prosecution, malicious destruction of property, and for the loss of income for the boat and the men. The Jamaican state must now step in and negotiate with the U.S. The only person that has spoken out against this is the U.S. ambassador. Look at the irony of that. The only person that has said that it is wrong and that the boat should not have been destroyed is the USM ambassador. Why are we so timid? I know why we are so timid.
Well, which is the question I was going to ask you before I let you go. We're going to be talking to former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson in a little while. And as you would know, he held out on Jamaica signing the shipwright agreement for a little while and came under quite a bit of pressure while several other Caribbean countries had signed. So given the kind of pressure that we know the U.S. can bring, is it even realistic for us to be talking about the need for an amendment to this agreement?
Well, do we have the guts, do we have the political will to say to the U.S. it's not working? I don't think so. You know why? Because up to 2019, the U.S. had given us $20 million worth of support for our JDF Coast Guard. So they are major contributors to the equipment that we seem not to be able to afford. And therefore, we don't sit with them at arm's length. They are the big boys. We are the little sheep. That's the reality. They are funding the US JDF Coast Guard. And that's one of the issues I raised at the press conference we kept. Can we admit that they are giving so much material support that we are afraid that it may be cut off? Wow. Horrible.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. We'll keep in touch and keep on the top of this. Thank you so much for talking to us. Always appreciate it.
Bye. All
right, so that was Attorney at Law Bert Samuels talking to us there.